Before the grand chronicles of kingdoms were penned, before the first gears of industry began their relentless turn, there existed something far more elemental, far more innate, the act of play. It was a language whispered across millennia, a silent pact between generations. From the simplest of stones clutched in a small hand to sticks that became swords in the fields of imagination, our earliest ancestors discovered profound joy, not just in survival, but in imitation. To play was to learn the world, to dream beyond its edges, to imagine what could be. Soft, distant tribal drums begin to fade in, a rhythmic pulse beneath the narrator's voice, like the ancient heartbeat of humanity itself. The very first toys were not commodities to be purchased, they were born from the world itself. They were sculpted from the raw earth, carved from weathered bone, and brought to life by the boundless, untamed reach of the human imagination. In the stark, often unforgiving landscape of the medieval world, the springtime of childhood was a fleeting season, often cut short by the demands of labor and survival. Yet even in the shadow of hardship, joy was a resilient seed, finding its secret corners in which to sprout and bloom. Picture a medieval village, a tapestry of timber-framed huts with thatched roofs, cobblestone streets slick with rain, and the warm, inviting glow of a craftsman's workshop spilling into the twilight. Children, clad in simple earth-toned tunics, their laughter echoing off the stone walls. Chase after rolling wooden hoops, their shouts mingling with the dizzying hum of spinning tops and the quiet comfort of cradling handmade rag dolls. In the distance, a formidable castle looms against the skyline, a silent promise of stories and legends. Within these villages, toys were not mere trifles. They were mirrors reflecting the society that created them. Wooden swords, crudely carved but wielded with immense gravity, were for the knights-to-be, boys who rehearsed the codes of chivalry in their backyard jousts. Dolls, stitched from scraps of linen and stuffed with straw, were for the young girls who practiced the rituals of motherhood and care, whispering secrets to their silent companions. Fathers, their hands calloused from long days toiling in the fields or at the forge, would spend their evenings by the hearth, carving miniature farms and tiny intricate castles, recreating their world in microcosm for the hands of their children. The air is thick with the sounds of this life, the sharp crackle of a log fire, the gentle, reassuring toll of distant church bells, and the ever-present, bubbling undercurrent of children's laughter. A humble toy maker, his face etched with the lines of his craft, works by the flickering, unsteady light of a single candle. His hands, though rough, move with a practiced grace as he shaves away slivers of wood from a small block. He pauses, holding the nascent figure up to the light, and murmurs to himself, a mantra honed over countless nights. A toy must hold more than its given shape. It must be a vessel. It must carry a dream. This sentiment was the soul of the medieval toy. These objects were profound pedagogical tools, teaching the unwritten lessons of life. To play at being a knight was not just a game, it was an exercise in learning the nature of courage, of honor, of duty. To cradle a doll was to understand the deep, quiet power of care, of empathy, of responsibility. And to master the spin of a top, to watch it whirl in a seemingly impossible dance with gravity, was to learn the subtle art of patience, of focus, of finding balance in a chaotic world. A close-up shot focuses on a wooden top, its spin beginning to slow, the candlelight dancing across its polished surface like a captured firefly. Forged from humble scraps of wood, leftover cloth, or simple river clay, each toy was an artifact, bearing the indelible mark of its maker's hand and carrying within it the very soul of its time. The sound of children's laughter begins to fade, seamlessly replaced by the rhythmic percussive clang of a hammer striking hot metal, the sound of a new age being forged. The Renaissance arrived like a great awakening, a flood of light and intellectual curiosity that washed over Europe, stirring invention and artistry from their slumber. And toys, once so humble and earthbound, felt this shift deep in their wooden bones. They began to move, to dance, to sing. The workshop of the artisan became a laboratory of wonder, where painters gave life to the expressive faces of marionettes and engineers assembled intricate clockwork birds that could flutter and chirp. In the bustling public squares, crowds would gather as children, their eyes wide with awe, watched puppet plays unfold, telling grand stories of heroes, gods, and monsters. A light, elegant melody from a lute and violin accompanies this new era of play. Art had met engineering in a joyous union. Wooden automata, marvels of gears and springs, perfectly mimicked the movements of animals, while graceful marionettes, controlled by unseen hands, brought epic tales to life on miniature stages. Dolls were no longer simple companions, but were transformed into miniature aristocrats, dressed in fine silks and velvets, their painted faces reflecting the era's ideals of beauty. To play was no longer just an act of imitation. It became a performance, a grand stage for imagination itself. Then came the hiss of steam, the turning of massive factory gears, the dawn of the 19th century. The industrial age brought with it a revolution, not just of production, but of play. Toys, once painstakingly crafted one by one, now marched in perfect uniform ranks of tin and lead. Rows upon rows of toy soldiers, their uniforms brightly painted by hand in bustling workshops, stood ready for imaginary battles. In the quiet, gaslit parlors of Victorian homes, children presided over elaborate multi-story dollhouses, perfect replicas of their own domestic worlds. For the first time in history, play became truly accessible. The dream of a toy was no longer a luxury reserved for the few. Yet, as the number of toys multiplied exponentially, rolling from the noisy machines in endless streams, the intimate connection to the maker, the soul of the artisan, began to grow distant. A Victorian shopkeeper, standing proudly amidst his wares, might declare, "Every child deserves a toy, even if it's made by the power of steam." Model trains chugged along intricate tracks laid out across nursery floors, and ornate rocking horses galloped in place, their painted eyes staring into a future of mass production. The 20th century unleashed a new magic upon the world. Plastic, bright, durable, and capable of being molded into an infinite variety of shapes, it sparked a second, more colorful revolution in the toy box. A vibrant montage flashes across the screen, a whirlwind of the 1950s through the 1980s, the iconic silhouette of a Barbie doll, the satisfying click of interlocking Lego bricks, the futuristic gleam of toy robots, the rugged appeal of G.I. Joe figures, and the prehistoric majesty of plastic dinosaurs. The world was awash in bright primary colors, catchy television jingles, and the captivated faces of children watching commercials, their desires shaped by the new medium. The toy box was no longer just a collection of objects. It had become a universe. It contained astronauts destined for the moon, glamorous dolls with endless wardrobes, fearsome monsters from the depths of imagination, and superheroes ready to save the day. Toys no longer simply taught the world as it was. They provided the tools to build entirely new ones. Play shifted decisively from imitation to unbridled creation, its energy underscored by a swelling, upbeat musical score. When the glow of screens entered the home, toys underwent yet another profound transformation. The digital era arrived, and with it came game consoles, early personal computers, and handheld devices that put entire worlds in the palm of a child's hand. The satisfying physical spin of the wooden top was replaced by the responsive twitch of the joystick. The living room floor, once the stage for epic battles and domestic dramas, was superseded by the luminous, infinite canvas of the screen. Yet, even in this new digital age, where play was measured in pixels and high scores, the fundamental heartbeat of that first medieval toy, the boundless power of imagination, remained stubbornly, beautifully unchanged. Whether building a castle from blocks or from digital code, the creative impulse was the same. And then, in a curious and wonderful turn, something unexpected happened. As play became increasingly ethereal and digital, a collective soul seemed to yearn for the tangible, for the satisfying weight of an object, for the connection of physical touch once more. Artists, designers, and creators returned to the principles of craftsmanship, not to create toys for children, but to sculpt dreams for the child that lives on within us all. In chic art toy stores and exclusive online galleries, a new movement was born. From the sleek, minimalist forms of Bear Bricks to the iconic, poignant figures of Cos and the whimsical creatures of the Pop Mart universe, toys became art. Detailed figurines, cast in resin and vinyl, stood under soft gallery lights, each one a statement, a piece of a larger cultural conversation. Slow pans reveal the intricate details of these designer collectibles, objects of desire and nostalgia. Among them, a strange and captivating face emerges. Labubu. Eerie, yet undeniably endearing. With wide, curious eyes and a wild, mischievous grin, this little monster feels like a creature born from a fusion of ancient folklore and modern, whimsical fantasy. In its form, one can hear the faint, distant echo of the medieval toy. It possesses that same handcrafted spirit, the personal touch of a creator's vision. There is a story embedded in every curve of its impish ears, in the texture of its vinyl skin. It is not just a product, it is a character, a companion, a piece of art that invites narrative. From the crudely carved wood of a medieval village to the shimmering digital pixels of a virtual world. From the quiet solitude of a toymaker's workshop to the bustling global marketplace of collectibles, the form and function of toys have changed in ways our ancestors could never have imagined. A final montage bridges the centuries. A medieval child at a spinning top dissolves into a Renaissance puppet, which then transforms into a rank of industrial-era toy soldiers, which in turn becomes a classic plastic doll, before finally settling on the image of a Labubu figurine, glowing softly on a collector's shelf. But while the objects have evolved, the sacred act of play endures. Every age, in its own unique way, builds its own lexicon of wonder. Yet somewhere, deep within the hypnotic whirl of every spinning top and hidden in the mischievous grin of every Labubu, lives the very same ancient, inextinguishable spark, the pure, unadulterated joy of creation. The music swells to a powerful crescendo as the final shot focuses on the toy, spinning in mesmerizing slow motion before fading to black.